Weston McKennie, 21 years old, making a stand.
Yeah, absolutely right. And plaudits to Weston McKennie for standing up for what he believes in. And even in the face of people questioning that and threats towards what I'm sure was intended to his own professional status, he stood up for what he believed in. And he was supported and he's applauded for it. And it speaks to something about this game where a 21-year-old player has more of a backbone than the governing body of the game. I saw the Weston McKennie's statement. I read it over and over again, and I could not be more impressed. I could not be more supportive. Credit to you. And that is the kind of foundation that this game needs. That's the kind of player that this game needs.
The key to it, Ali, is it that you can't try and define this as a political statement?
It is not a political statement as such, because I think that would be oversimplifying. This is a human statement. This is a statement of essentially saying, I can't believe that in the year 2020, I still have to defend my position on making a human statement and supporting another human being. That in a COVID-19 world in which we all figure out that it's not a black community, it's not a white community, it's not an Asian community, it's not a Latino community. It's one community. We're all in this together. And if we didn't learn this from the pandemic, I don't know how we're going to learn it. The fact of the matter is that we are all in this together. And we're all part of the human community. And I think that's what Weston McKennie is speaking to, is that it's not a political statement as such. It's a human statement. It's a statement of supporting your fellow human being. And if you cannot do that, then we have bigger issues. If he has to defend himself because he takes this position, then we have bigger issues. And that's the part that it's truly sad for me. It's a sad reality that in the year 2020, we're still talking about race as a dividing issue.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you there, Ali, but to that point, you know, and listen, I understand FIFA not wanting people to make political statements. For instance, and I'll just throw this out there hypothetically, the independence of Catalonia. That's a political issue. This is a human rights issue, as Ali rightly points out. This is totally different. And as a result, you cannot just skirt the issue. You cannot just leave this to individual or regional politics or governing bodies to make a decision on. This is a human rights issue in a game that's played by human rights, by humans, where the laws are equal, not just in this game, but as you would expect and hope in all of humanity. That's where FIFA's role is. That's where it falls. And I think they've neglected that.
Meanwhile, Alexis Nunes spoke to Leon Bailey about his admiration of Weston McKennie stepping up against the authorities at the weekend.
For me, I would say it's incredible to see because, you know, it takes a lot of guts to speak up, and speaking up, you have to have the guts to do it, and not a lot of people can do it. And for me to see all the younger ones doing it, and like proving that we all are the same and we should be treated the same, is just a powerful thing, and it's inspired me to also, you know, try to speak up more too.
That's exactly what Weston McKennie would have been aiming for, wouldn't it, Shaq? We spoke about the fact that he's only 21 years of age, but if you've got someone of that generation leading this fight, then it can only inspire others.
Yeah, somebody of that generation with as much to lose as Weston McKennie. The easy thing for him to do would have just been to stay quiet and protect what he has, which is a fantastic career ahead of him. But this is bigger. And Leon Bailey is absolutely right. To see somebody with that much to lose step up, it's inspiring. It's inspiring to young footballers. It's inspiring to young people the world over. It's inspiring to people like me, who've kind of been there, seen it and done it, and don't have a lot more runway ahead of me. But to see people like Leon Bailey, like Weston McKennie, stand up for the fight in the way that they have, it's inspiring to even, as I say, old dogs like myself.
Old dogs like yourself, Shaq. But we saw Sancho as well and Thuram, Ali, and this is something you can only imagine when we see the Bundesliga return next weekend. that we're going to see more of?
And it's a clear understanding by the players that they are not insulated figures, that they are citizens of the world. If they need a reminder of that, well, then we went through a pandemic and we're going through that. And so it's having full knowledge that what you do and the platform that you have allows you to have access to the masses, allows you to have access to a larger group of people. And being able to then, from that platform, send out a message of hope, of support, of empathy. Those things are powerful, and the players have an understanding of that. But in order to do that, not only does it take courage, but it also takes a very clear idea that you're not an insulated figure, that you're not living by yourself in the world, that just because you're a top-tier athlete, that you don't have the responsibility to use your platform. It would be very easy to take that step back and say, I'm staying out of this. This is not the sort of issue that I'm going to stand against or stand for. I'm just going to stand to the side and let somebody else take on the responsibility. What we see from these young players is saying, you know what? Right now, in 2020, it's my time. It's my time to take a step forward, be counted, raise my arm and say, you know what? What's going on over there is not right, and I'm going to say something about it. I'm a citizen of the world, and I'm supporting my world the way I know how. That's something that we should all admire.
Shaka, we've talked about racism far too much on this show over the last 2 years, given the monkey chants that we've heard in Italy and beyond. If we're trying to get some sort of positive from this situation, could this be the moment, the catalyst where we see the change, that no longer will we see players tolerate any sort of racial abuse? They will walk off. That'll be it. And by the way, we are more than happy to stand up to the authorities to fight this, because we've started something now and we're not going to finish.
Yeah, without question. I think this can be the spark. And listen, progress is slow. It happens gradually, but every so often it serves up these opportunities where things kind of go hockey stick shaped, as they say here in the US, where things really escalate, or around these individual moments and opportunities. And I think this is one here. This is an opportunity not just for football, not just for the US, but globally, to recognize the discrepancy between lives, between those who have and those who have not, between those who live their lives in black skin and those who don't. And recognizing that the shared humanity between all of us and the shared human rights, as that all of this can be a spark too. And as much as society in itself is using this spark to make that progress, again, you're seeing the game through the likes of Weston McKennie doing similar and moving the game forward at rocket speed in terms of progress, where things have been going slowly leading up to this point.
That's the hope, isn't it, Ali?
Yeah, and I think in order for that to move forward, and in order for the example of Weston McKennie to resonate, we have to understand that this is not just a USA issue. It's not a United States issue. It's not just an Italy issue. It's a world issue. And when we hear the monkey chants in Italy, that we don't accept that. And when we see what we have seen here in the United States, that we don't accept that either. But it can't just be a local issue and say, well, that's happening 1,000 miles from here, so therefore it has nothing to do with me. That's too easy of a stance to take. You have to understand that this is still going on, that it's part of our reality, as sad reality as it may be, and we have an opportunity, and I think the players realize this, we have an opportunity to make an effort and to make a stand and to make sure that this doesn't continue to happen. And so I appreciate what the players are trying to do, and I know and I feel like it's only going to get bigger, and then more and more players are going to feel the courage to step forward, and more teams are going to work together and saying, you know what, let's do this together, because together we're stronger, because together we can get rid of racism, because together we can clean our game from something that affects not only the game of soccer, but it affects the whole world. We have seen in the United States, we've seen in Italy, we've seen in other places. It's a world issue. It's not just a local issue.
And we've seen those collective protests in the Premier League, both Liverpool and Chelsea taking these at training. Meanwhile, the front page of AIN saying Black Lives Matter. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.